back in the laboratory. This is a follow-up to Ridiculous Knives Part 2. I asked in the comments, what would you like to see? And I got a lot of feedback, not only in the YouTube comments, but on my Facebook page, and just people calling and texting me, emailing me about this knife, the Harbor Freight Survival Knife, which I bought for, I believe, $7. If you're not familiar, if you're new to the channel, here's what's going on. We have the excellent Wüsthof 10-inch chef's knife, which is my favorite knife. I use it for everything. And I was kind of thinking to myself, we all know what a great knife can do, but what does a lousy knife do in the kitchen? So this is really the premise for my video here. No, this is actually not a Wüsthof. This is an Acero. I got this at my local restaurant supply store. $18. Extremely good value for the money. It's very, very, very similar to the excellent Wüsthof, and that's why I like it so much. It fits my hand grade. It's a forged knife, tend to be very durable, holds an edge. So this is going to be my stand-in today in place of my Wüsthof, because we know how much I love that knife. This knife in particular, I had a couple people say to me, you know what, I go fishing and this is the knife that I buy when I go fishing, because if I lose it, it doesn't break my heart and it gets the job done, and because it's only $7, I can afford other things like a tank of gas. And then finally, of course, the giant Machete, what I call the cartoon knife. But I also heard from one or two people that said, you know, it's also a great knife for when you just need something sharp to cut one thing into two things. But can this knife handle some fine work? Well, we're gonna find out, because what I have here is 3 beautiful pieces of salmon. Now, I was said, well, why don't you go fishing, grab some fish and eviscerate and scale? Folks, I don't go fishing. I don't know how. I admire people who have the patience and the skill set to go fishing. That is not my style. I'm more of a mountain biker, skier, jump off of stuff. Usually I'm walking around here with some sort of limp because I skinned a knee or an elbow, or in my head, who knows. Anyways, we're gonna take the skin off of these 3 pieces of salmon, portion them down for an upcoming event, and use each knife on each one of them, and then I'll give you my feedback. Let's get to work. Let's start off with my Acero, which is a standard chef knife, what I'm most comfortable with. Of course, when we do a fillet cut, one of the tips I have when you're holding your knife with the pinch grip is to take a step backwards and really put some pressure on your thumb using this plastic cutting board. I like to cut fish on a plastic cutting board because I feel like it's much more clean when I'm running it through the dishwasher. Nonetheless, I take one step backwards, put pressure on my thumb, and that allows me to run my knife across the cutting board without having it slide on me. If I try to make that same cut up here, kind of in thin air, there's nothing to push against. There's no structure, there's no pressure. So that's really what I prefer. You can see I don't even really need to hold it. Also in a fillet cut, here's just a little pro tip, we only want to cut in one direction. So I'm gonna cut forward and then back off, and then forward or back. You can cut back towards you, back off. And by only applying cutting pressure in one direction, you get a much smoother cut. It doesn't look like a saw cut. Okay, so here's a piece of salmon. So sometimes I come in this way across the length of the belly, but when it's been cut into the center cut fillets, I tend to come across like so. So I'm gonna create a little bit of a tag, and there's that applying pressure only in one direction if I happen to be cutting back towards me. Let's take a look here. How'd I do? Not bad. I mean, I left a little bit like that right there. You know, I would consider that waste, particularly in a restaurant. However, from here to here, this belly bit, I oftentimes, depending on how much I'm charging for my fish, if I was working in a restaurant, I might go ahead and pull this belly line out, or what's commonly called the blood line. Okay, there we go. And I do have a couple of bones in here. There's one. And that's just really a matter of feeling around for the bones. Okay. And there's one right there. Got it. Okay, fantastic. That looks really nice. This bit here, sometimes I pull that out as well, what's known as the chain. That's not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. This is beautiful salmon, really nice and fresh, and nice and fatty. Okay, so I think that did a great job with the Acero. I had a ton of control. Next, this is a little bit more challenging because you see we have a couple of different kind of sections here. We have this is the head, and right above, well, this is where it would be the head and then the cheek, and then it would run kind of back towards me, towards the tail. And this is an interesting shape here. So I'm gonna try the survival knife. What I'm gonna do here is just separate this glob of fat, just loosen it from the flesh here. And I think I'm gonna cut this in half lengthwise. That actually cuts pretty nice. I have to put a lot of pressure in on it, and because I can't utilize a good pinch grip, I can still get my thumb on top of it though, so I'm happy with that. So what I'm gonna do is make a cut in the opposite direction, allow my knife to get in here. And this is challenging. I'm not, like, see how the skin's folding on me, and I'm kind of having to saw, and that's not great. So you can see right here where the skin cut, the knife doesn't lay flat enough. Because it's not flexible at all, it's completely solid, you really lose some control. These aren't meant to be flexible, but they do have a little bit of spring to them, which allows you to kind of get underneath of stuff. So, I mean, that's paper thin. It did cut that thin, but I'm just not really satisfied with that. Maybe if you're accustomed to using one of these style of knives, let's see what happens here. You'd have better results than I'm having. This is going better, I think. Okay, that's a little better. That's not bad. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Here's my verdict on this knife. If you were cutting a fillet off the bone and deheading and pulling off fins and viscerating, this is more than adequate. But when you get down to this stage in your fish production, then I think you're gonna really want a chef knife. And don't spend a lot. Remember, these are $18. There's no reason why you can't have one of these in your camp kit or your fish kit, and just let it live with all your other fishing stuff, because it's, I think, the best tool for the job. Okay, I'm not expecting this to go well, but I've been surprised before, so let's see here. It just isn't sharp enough. You know, the other knives are designed for cutting, and this knife, I fear, is designed for killing. Yeah, look at that. I couldn't even get all the way through. So you can see there how it just came apart. It's pulling a lot of scales off. I have no control. Too flexible. I know it's not designed for kitchen work, but they do sell them. So someone, I mean, I bought one. I guess I probably bought it as an novelty to me, but that's why most people buy it. Let me see. Let's see here if I can. Going back to a proper chef knife, I have, again, all that control that I crave, and not bad, not bad. I missed a little bit right here. That's user error, but I, of course, can go back and just clean that up. Let's pull out that bloodline. I'm gonna finish portioning these. These are gonna go into my Monogram hearth oven. I'm gonna put a squeeze of lemon and a little sage on these, and this is gonna be for a nice event I have coming up tomorrow. So there you have it. Verdict, I think there's no replacement for a 10-inch chef knife. Whether it is a $18 knife or a $200 knife like my very excellent Wusthof, I think that this is the kind of knife that you could have with you if you're fishing at all times. It's really the best tool for the job. The survivalist knife, well, you know, it's a good point that, you know, at $7 or $8, when it wears out or it's not doing the trick anymore, just throw it out and get another one. You know, I mean, at that price, you barely even need to take the time to sharpen it. Okay, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Haven't hit that button yet? Go ahead. I'll wait. Thank you. Leave a comment too. That's how I came across this concept. It's because of you, the viewers. Checking out the channel, supporting me, I appreciate it. Until next time, Chef Mark.